They say that you are what you eat, which means I am roughly 6 pounds of bacon-wrapped scallops. I don't feel so good. Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the garage. I'm Uncle Frank. I hope that you are having a great day. In today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my wonderfully squeaky chair, relaxing and having a little conversation with all of you guys about bulk. That's right. We are back on the bulk grind set. Mindset. Bulk set. Bulk. We're talking about bulk today. Specifically, we're talking about some of the negative things associated with bulk. Some of the cons. The bulk cons. Yeah, that's right. It's not all sunshine and rainbows in the world of TCG bulk. And yeah, you know, I talk at length on this channel about bulk, how great it is to have loads and loads of TCG bulk. You know, you pay only so much, and as long as you have the time and as long as you have the desire to do it, you can make quite a lot of money buying and selling TCG bulk, just because the margins are so nice. However, just because it's nice doesn't mean that it doesn't have its own downsides. And there are, I'd say 3 downsides that all kind of connect together when it comes to bulk. 4 downsides technically. The 4th downside is, of course, the price. It's hard to make huge profits off of bulk. It can be done. You know, you can totally buy a bulk collection and find real value there, but that's not really bulk. That is just value ended up getting mixed in by accident. You're not extrapolating huge amounts of value from the average bulk pile. More or less, whenever that does happen, it's accidental. And yes, it's true that some bulk cards can go up in price, exponentially so, in fact. But for the most part, bulk has a very low price tag for a reason, you know? Usually, not always, but usually bulk cards are at the bulk price just because most people aren't going to want them or will want to pay more than a bit for them. But beyond that, of course, there are 3 major issues that bulk does genuinely have. The first one is the one that is the least obvious, and that is the space. Bulk cards, by virtue of being bulk volumes of trading cards, they take up quite a bit of space in any storage area that you are going to use to dedicate to them. And that's not great if you don't have a lot of free space. Now, for someone like me who has a whole garage to work with, plus some extra space inside the main house, I do have plenty of space to store it, and I foresee that I will have many, many more bulk collections to purchase before I'm at my limit. But even for me, I do have a limit. I do have an upper limit of how much bulk I can take as an individual and keep on hand at one time. And that leads directly into problem 2. Problem 2 is the fact that bulk, by virtue of being low-priced cards that not most people are going to want to pay too much for, it's a hard sell. It's a slow sell. It is a slow grind. As I've said before, bulk can be profitable. Bulk can be rewarding. Bulk can be fun. But you're going to end up sitting there looking at thousands and thousands of cards. Look behind me. That's mostly bulk back there. That takes a long time to churn through. Just because most people aren't buying 4, 6, 8, 20 copies of a random Yu-Gi-Oh card at 3 o'clock in the morning, just because you haven't listed. Having it listed helps. You can't sell cards you aren't listing. But just having them there doesn't mean people are buying them, and it does take a while to churn through large volumes of bulk, regardless of whether you're selling the singles or bulks as lots. And then, of course, the third issue with bulk is the fact that you need to make room for more bulk. That's right. The bulk's mindset, the bulk grind, is just like any other TCG grind, except instead of selling off cards to buy more cards at a higher price point, you know, you're selling off a $100 card to buy 2 $50 cards, hoping that they'll go up, right? Instead, you are buying bulk, selling them off for a profit, and then buying more bulk. So you always need more, which exacerbates the first 2 issues and causes the potential of a blockage where you just have so much bulk that you're trying to get rid of already that you can't even acquire more just because you're having such a hard time storing what you already have. And do not mistake it. You do need more bulk because you always need more churning and burning through your inventory if you are going to dedicate yourself to the bulk sigma. Is that the word? skibbity kids are using these days, the Sigma bulk grind set mindset, whatever. Now, with that said, as I have addressed, those are cons. However, I do believe that there is simple solutions to the bulk volume problem, because it is, at the end of the day, all one problem: the sheer amount of space that bulk takes up and the sheer time it takes to get rid of it. And that is why I do look into ways to get rid of bulk. Now, of course, there is the easy way. After you've gone through the bulk collection and pulled out everything you think that you probably might sell and everything that might have value someday, you could take the easy way out and just throw it out. It's super easy, right? You could just toss it in the trash and destroy it forever. Send it to the landfill. And in all honesty, that's not a terrible idea. There are cards that, regardless of card game, are never going to sell. And you'll know exactly what they are once you look at them. Tokens, for most card games, I already throw those out when I'm going through bulk piles in the first place. 99% of tokens for every card game aren't going to sell. Especially not in bulk volumes. You're not going to be able to sift through Flesh and Blood, for instance. Like, cracked baubles sell from time to time, especially for the WTR first edition one. But most of the two-sided hero tokens, those never sell. The token equipment, those never sell. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has some tokens that sell like crack. Magic has tokens that will never sell except for like the rare old ones. Pokemon doesn't have tokens. And Digimon has a weird relationship with tokens. They have like a handful of Digimon that create tokens. Diaboromon being one of them, and I love him, but I'm getting off topic. So, like, tokens already get tossed out. And you can, in theory, I'm not saying this is the greatest idea, but you could, in theory, just start throwing out giant bags full of bulk cards once you feel like you've pulled enough value out of it. And because, make no mistake, okay, if you're buying at a good enough rate, you may only need to sell a small percentage of the bulk you pick up in order to make profits. If you're buying 1,000 cards at $4, $5, $6, you will definitely not need to sell more than half of those to make your money back, especially if you're selling at a bare minimum of 15 cents. Do the math. I've done it myself. You don't need to sell all 1,000. And if you just want to toss it, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I support your decision. But before you go for the easy way out, do consider that there are other things you can do with it. The big one that most people are aware of, but not too many people try, I think, is donating it. Believe it or not, most children's hospitals, most schools, most clubs, they'll take donations of most, not all card games, but Pokemon especially is a big one. If you find yourself laden with thousands and thousands and thousands of Pokemon cards, or thousands and thousands and thousands of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic cards, the big three, the ones everyone's aware of, if you have piles and piles of that stuff built up, you can just send that to a hospital or a school or some library, and they'll take it, and you get the little tax write-off sheet depending on the program you're donating it to, which is always nice. Not only do you get rid of all of your crap, but you get a nice little tax write-off at the end of the year, and that's always great. Now, obviously, that's not the easiest. You still have to pay for shipping. It can be a pain to send more than like 4,000 cards at a time, but it can be done. And you also get to feel good while doing it because, you're making some kid's day, presumably. And, of course, there is a third option, although it's not an option you can take for any game that you're not really familiar with, and that is using it. That's right, you can play with the trading card game cards. I know, it's crazy, right? But yeah, it's totally possible to take, especially if you have more than like 50 copies of a card lying around. If you have serious volumes of bulk for any given set from any given TCG, there's ways to work with that. You can make, for a bit I was doing with Magic, you can make pauper cubes and just sell those online on places like eBay or on Facebook Marketplace as a pre-built pauper cube. If you have enough copies of a card, you can make 3 or 4 cubes of the same layout and just sell those for like $10. And obviously it's not the same profit as selling the cards individually for 15 cents, but it's profit, and you build something you get to play with too, which is always fun because, yeah, playing the card game can be fun. I know, crazy. You can build cubes, you can build pre-built decks for some sets, you can create and sell full set lists or full common set lists, which is actually something people do buy. They will buy all the commons of a given Pokemon set all at once, for instance. That is a relatively common thing I've seen. Not so much for Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, though. People don't really do that for that, but it could be done. And, you know, you're a more creative guy than I am, probably. You can probably figure out some interesting way to toy around with and make use of the various piles of bulk you have. Perhaps you can make a suit of armor out of it, or a cardboard fortress out of it. There's all kinds of creative things you can do before you consider just tossing it in the trash. But yeah, in all honesty, I just wanted to make this video just to make sure that people are aware that while I do sing bulk's praises, I do spend a significant amount of my time sorting through bulk, listing bulk, playing with bulk, bathing in bulk, worshiping bulk, dedicating more of my life to bulk, promising my firstborn children to bulk. Where was I? Well, I do like bulk quite a lot, and you should too, because it's the most important thing in your life. All hail the bulk. In all honesty, yes, there are downsides to it, okay? All jokes aside, there are downsides to just low value, high volume cards that make it so that when people do say, man, I don't deal with bulk, I only deal with the high-end cards, I totally understand that. I've had a conversation not terribly long ago, not recently, but not too long ago, where someone was exasperated with the idea that I could even want to deal with bulk. And I had to explain, like, I just like sorting it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's a way to pass the time and get a hands-on with the cards. And they didn't like that. They wanted to deal with the high-value cards and make all the big money and make all the big moves, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, for some people, that's going to be a great way to make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there are genuine problems with bulk. Like I said, space is an issue. But I suppose I'm going in a loop now. So that's all I got for you kiddos today. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you agree with me or disagree with me. Check out the Discord, Patreon, my TCG Player Store. Links are down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Ciao.